Hello students, today's topic is Blaise and Kosla's theory. These theories are used in the design of aprons, that is aprons for piers, barrages, head regulators, cross drainage works, etc. So before discussing the Kosla's theory, first of all we'll go through the failure of hydraulic structure takes place when it is founded on the pervious foundation. If the hydraulic structure is founded on a pervious foundation, it is subjected to seepage of water beneath the structure. It endangers the stability of the structure and may cause its failure by piping or by direct uplift. This is the main cause of hydraulic structure when it is founded on the pervious foundation. So seepage of water beneath the structure, and it will cause failure of the hydraulic structure because of two reasons. One is piping, one is the direct uplift. So first of all, what is piping? Piping is the progressive removal of soil from beneath the foundation. So the structure may ultimately subside into the hollow so formed because of the removal of soil beneath the foundation and resulting in the failure of the structure. The second one is the direct uplift. The water seeping below the structure exerts an uplift pressure on the floor of the structure. If this pressure is not counterbalanced by the weight of the concrete or masonry floor of the hydraulic structure, the structure will fail by a rupture of a part of the floor. So these are the main two reasons for the failure of any hydraulic structure when it is founded on the pervious foundation. So the above concepts of the failure of hydraulic structure due to the subsurface flow were introduced by the Blaise. So Blaise has introduced these two concepts and he has comes with the Blaise theory. Blaise theory is also called as Blaise creep theory for seepage flow. It tells that water creeps along the bottom contour of the structure. The length of the path thus traversed by water is called the creep length or length of the creep. So the seepage water which creeps along the bottom of the structure, and it is assumed that in this theory the loss of head is proportional to the length of the creep. The loss of head means HL is proportional to the length of the creep L, that is the total length of the seepage water traversed along the bottom of the structure, that is called as L, creep length. So here Blaise creep theory, which is explained by using a figure. This is the structure which is constructed. In this figure, this line indicates the hydraulic gradient line, HG line. So HL by L, that is, if HL is the total head loss between the upstream and the downstream, and L is the length of creep, then the loss of head per unit creep length is called the hydraulic gradient. That is, HL by L is the hydraulic gradient. And one more thing is that Blaise makes no distinction between horizontal and the vertical creep. So the seepage flow occurs like this. So vertically downward, vertically upward, and there is a horizontal flow. So in this direction there is a creep takes place. Therefore there is no distinction between vertical and horizontal creep. So in this figure, the total creep length is given by L is equal to, L is the total creep length, that is D1 from this point, D1 plus D2 plus L1 plus D2 vertical creep plus again D2 vertical creep up, L2 plus D3 plus D3, D3 plus D3. This is the total length of the creep from this point to this point. So if I simplify it, so this become 2D1 plus L1 plus L2 plus 2D2 and plus 2D3. So finally L1 plus L2, L1 plus L2 means it is B, so B plus 2 into D1 plus D1 D2 plus D3. So this is the total length of the creep according to Blaise. So therefore head loss per unit length or hydraulic gradient is HL by L, HL by L. So HL means head loss and L is the total creep length, that is B plus 2 into D1 plus D2 plus D3. In this figure there are 3 head losses will occur in the planes of 3 vertical cutoffs, that is one is at the beginning HL by L into 2D1 and one is at the center, that is HL by L into 2D2. The last one is HL by L into 2D3. So the hydraulic gradient line can then be drawn, which is shown in the figure. So after that we can join smoothly. The final gradient is the hydraulic gradient line for this figure. According to Kosla's theory, the seeping water does not creep along the bottom contour of the any hydraulic structure, but on the other hand this water moves along a set of streamlines, which is shown in the figure, this one. So in the case of Blaise theory, the seepage water which is flow below the creep along the hydraulic structure horizontally, but in this case it is goes in the form of a streamlines, set of streamlines. So this steady seepage in a vertical plane for a homogeneous soil can be expressed by a Laplacian equation, that is d square phi by dx square plus d square phi by dz square is equal to 0, where phi is flow potential, that is equal to k into h, where k is the coefficient of permeability of soil and h is the residual head at any point within the soil. And again the Kosla's theory, which is explained based on the flow net, and flow net figure which is given here, that is based on the streamlines and equipotential lines. So this line indicates the streamlines and this line indicates the equipotential lines. This Laplacian equation represents two sets of curves intersecting each other orthogonally, that is streamlines and the equipotential lines, and the resultant flow diagram showing both the sets of curves is called as flow net. So first of all we'll discuss what is streamlines and what is equipotential lines. Streamlines means these are all the streamlines, okay, and it represents the paths along which the water flows through the subsoil. Every particle entering the soil at a given point upstream of the structure will trace out its own path and will represent a streamline. Equipotential lines represents the joining of points of equal residual head. That means the treating the downstream bed, for example this downstream bed as datum, and assuming no water on the upstream side, it can be easily stated that every streamline possesses a head equal to h1, that is this part h1, while entering the soil, and when it emerges out at the downstream end into the atmosphere, its head is equal to 0. So that h1 will be equal to 0 when it emerges at the downstream side. Further, at every intermediate points in its path, so every intermediate points in its path, there is certain residual head, small h, this one, still to be dissipated in the remaining length to be traversed to the downstream end. So this fact is applicable to every streamline below the hydraulic structure, and hence there will be points on different streamlines having the same value of residual head h. If such points are joined together, so wherever we find the equal residual h, if those equal residual heads are joined together, the curve obtained is called as equipotential line. That is equipotential line. One more point to note in the first figure is that when the seepage water exerts, when seepage water flows beneath the hydraulic structure, the water exerts a force at each point along its path, or each point in the direction of flow, and which is tangential to the streamline. So it is tangential to the streamline. For example, like this. So it is also a tangential to the streamline, this f. But when it is flowing in this direction, the force will be acting vertically downward. But when it is comes up in here, it will be acting in the upward direction, vertically upward. This force has the maximum disturbing tendency at the exit end. Why? Because the direction of this force at the exit point is vertically upward. So here it is vertically downward. When it this water flows in this direction here, and it will act in the upward direction. So there is the disturbing tendency at the downstream end, exit end. So this will be counterbalanced by the submerged weight of the soil grains. This is about the Kosla's theory and the concept of flow net. Thank you.